Hey kids, you're listening to a couple of annoyed grunt boys, and this is the 138th Simpsons podcast. That's right, we're the Simpsons podcast that discusses the animated series The Simpsons from seasons 11 and beyond. Why do we do it like this? Well, plenty of other podcasts have discussed the Golden Age, that being seasons 1 through 10, so there's nothing more to say about those Golden Age episodes. So we're tasked to find if any of the latter seasons and the newest ones can match those Golden Age episodes. And I don't do this alone because I'm just one annoyed grunt boy named Craig, and with me as always is the other annoyed grunt boy.
And with me, as always, is another annoyed grunt boy.
Steve.
Steve.
Yeah, I know you're Steve.
Yeah, I know you're Steve.
No, I'm Craig.
No, I'm Craig.
I'm Craig. I have a huge hog. I'm Craig. I have a huge hog. Hello? I think the connection got cut. Steve, say something.
Something.
Oh, okay, Steve. Thank God you're there.
Munch my butt.
All right, Steve. I thought you were just playing the ape thing, but now you're just tell me everything I want to hear.
It's hard to do cocaine off of a hairy Mons pubis.
Steve, can you stop being crass?
I've got a small urethra.
I know, Steve.
Let's go to the bathroom together.
No, I'm not going to the bathroom.
It just seems like really tight and smelly and uncomfortable.
Anyways, how are we doing, Steve? I'm done playing.
Yeah, we're good, Craig.
This week's episode, spoilers, deals a lot with like food, and there's a parody of like diners, drive-ins, and dives, but also a little bit of the Man vs. Food. And we've watched those shows. It's one of those shows like I'll put on diners, drive-ins, and dives as background noise. You know, last week I talked about how baseball's a background noise. Diners, drive-ins, and dives is another background TV show for me. Like if I just need some noise, I throw that on. And usually, you know, like I get excited if I see something that's like, ooh, we're in Portland, Oregon, or sometimes Seattle, Washington, like places that are like drivable. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I want to go to this place because, you know, it's accessible for me. So have you ever watched any of the Guy Fieri shows or like the drive-ins or like food challenges? Like any of them interested you?
Yeah, like I remember when Triple D went to Portland and some of the Salvador Mollies and some of the other restaurants that he went to, and that was really cool. I also used to love the Adam Richman show, Man vs. Food, because some of those food challenges looked like no person should ever do them, but then some of them I thought like could be manageable. Like I could probably take down some stuff.
If I remember correctly, the Salvador Dali's was a Man vs. Food. So Adam Richman did like the balls of fire, cheese balls of fire.
That's right, yeah.
Which I hear is not that complicated because it's one of those like you do it and you get your picture on a wall and I think maybe a t-shirt.
Okay. Yeah.
The only ones I never did it. I don't think now because like the older you get, the harder it is for me to eat spicy. Mm-hmm. But I think the only ones that entice me is like if my food is comped. I don't care about the t-shirt. I just want a free meal.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a restaurant, a steakhouse, like an old school steakhouse in Portland called Slayers.
Yeah.
Anyways, they do like remember the Great Outdoors with John Candy? You guys got to eat that giant steak. I think they have a similar. Well, let me reference that. The Simpsons had that episode where Homer had to eat the giant steak, and I think they still do that. I think it's like a 72-ounce steak, but you got to eat the sides and the steak, and then it's free. If not, you have to pay like a couple $100. That doesn't sound good.
No, unless you're Tony Randall, it's not going to work out.
Right. R.I.P. Tony Randall.
That's right. I think a pizza challenge I could take because I can eat an embarrassingly large amount of pizza, and I think I would just keep on going until it hit me. So I think like one of those giant pizzas, especially if it was just cheese, I could do that.
Oh, yeah. Because I think the problem with a lot of those other challenges, they throw in like carbs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could easily eat down like one of those like giant hamburgers. But if you have to have French fries with it, then I could be screwed. Yeah.
And you make an interesting point about, like, the spicy ones versus the, like, which is, like, more painful to, like, have a crazy spicy food that's going to last your ass later, or the gluttony of, like, an eating contest where, like, you have to just consume a lot of calories all at once. Like, they both seem kind of scary.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on the pizza, though, because I think you're right. Like if we ordered, like, let's just go with Domino's, right? Like if I ordered a Domino's large pizza, I think the large is only 14 inches circumference. I could probably eat the whole thing. I don't, because then I don't want to feel bad about myself, but I won't feel like full afterwards.
Mm-hmm. And well, I would rather go savory over sweet. I feel like if there was like a donut eating contest, I could also, that's carbs again, but I think I could do that.
I don't know about that for me. I think like chicken wing challenge, I could do, because there's like a strategy, you gotta like make sure it doesn't like really touch your lips.
Yeah.
Because that's where the spiciness comes in. I think I could do like the spicy challenges. It's just the uncomfortableness. And like, I have like really cracky hands and like, I get a lot of like open cuts on my hands. So I don't know about the spicy for me. I'd have to wear gloves.
Yeah.
But the pizza challenge, that just sounds great. I just want to like go to town on a pizza, Yeah,
that's like what I want to do most days.
Like if someone's like, here's a 50-inch pie, I'm going to take it down. Yeah. Especially if it's like New York style.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like if it was like Detroit style or like the focaccia pizzas, that I couldn't. It'd be hard to take 2 slices down, but yeah, New York would be great.
Like hot dogs is another thing. Like I know like a hot dog challenge is the thing. That's America's pastime on July 4th. Like I could never do that because they dip it in water and it just looks nasty and gross. I hate watching that stuff. But if you have like a dozen hot dogs with like mustard and onion there, I think I could eat them all.
Yeah.
I think the gluttonous foods, I could eat that. Put down like your basic like cheeseburgers.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah.
Go to town on those. Like I'm talking like I'm not saying McDonald's because I don't think McDonald's isn't my favorite of like basic cheeseburgers, but like we have a local chain here called Burgerville. If you gave me like a dozen Burgerville cheeseburgers, I could probably do those. Yeah, I'll go with that. I guess the equivalent would be like Wendy's, maybe. I could do a Wendy's.
I was going to say Taco Bell.
Well, that's interesting because many drunken nights, like getting Taco Bell, getting like so many items.
Yeah.
And then realizing like you stop at like 3. Like, those ones with like crunch wraps and like quesadillas. But I think like they're soft tacos or hard tacos. Mm-hmm. I could probably definitely get a dozen down.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're not making people hungry talking about gluttonous food challenges. Like spaghetti would not be because there's going to be a meatball in this episode. I don't think spaghetti would be a food challenge because that's like pasta belly is the worst.
Oh yeah. You'd feel so bloated so fast.
Yeah. Even though it's funny, like pizza, for some reason we could do that.
Yeah.
What about Kraft macaroni and cheese? I feel like I'd eat like 4 boxes.
Yeah. Or even like ramen, like plain rice ramen. I could eat a lot of that.
The 40-cent packs, like I would mostly. I would when I cooked with those younger, like college days. Like I would eat 2 packages. Like that was just like a given. Like I always had to have 2.
It'd be good for sodium for the week.
Yeah, but I never used it up with like putting like a hard-boiled egg or vegetables in it. This is kind of making me hungry, though, Steve. I almost said horny, but I think of horny and hungry, same H words in my vocabulary.
Yeah. If you're hangry, you're one of the two.
Except I hate when chefs or judges, like on those cooking shows, refer to food as sexy.
Ew,
food is not sexy. I don't want to fuck a pie. All right. Contrary to what you saw in those 25 movies, American Pie.
Eugene Levy's gonna be so disappointed.
Off subject though, and I know you don't have the answer because I know you've never watched them, but like, the first American Pie is about Jason Biggs fucking a pie, but in the other movies, is there always like pie fucking in it, or is it just that first one?
That is a very good question. It feels like if you're gonna keep the title, you should keep the pie fucking.
I feel like in the second one, maybe Eugene Levy like fucked a pie just to see what it was like, or was that in the first one? That seems like something Eugene Levy would do.
I feel like I have that image in my head.
Yeah.
Often.
Huh. Eugene Levy fucking pies. Well, Steve, enough about fucking pies and eating ass. Steve, let's just get on with this week's episode. Stew Lies. Now, stew isn't a food challenge for me. I don't think I would really want to eat a lot of stew.
Too hearty.
Yeah. But Homer reignites a celebrity chef's lost passion for food with some help from the mob.
The mob.
We're going to take a little break, come back, and watch the latest episode from The Simpsons.
Ooh.
We'll be right back. And we're back. Today we're talking about Stu Lies. It's the 20th episode of the 36th season. It's episode 788 in the show's run. Original air date was May 4th, 2025. Your nerd code is 36 ABF 09. Written by Broti Gupta. Directed by Debbie Bruce Mahan. Showrunners Matt Selman, Brian Kelley, and Al Jean.
Alrighty, Broti Gupta. She is a writer and podcaster and a stand-up performer. She's worked on the shows Speechless, Carol's Second Act, and Friends from College, and of course The Simpsons. She's also a writer. She's been in McSweeney's, The New Yorker, The New York Times, and The Washington Post. She also has a podcast with Dylan Guella from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And so far she's written 4 episodes, which we reviewed all of them. Habeas Tortoise, Family Feud, Murder, She Wrote, and this one, Stu Lies. And she's slated to write a segment in next season's Treehouse 4, which is exciting.
Now, I don't like to out people's ages on this podcast.
Sure.
But I'm going to out Broti right now. Steve, her birth date is December 28th, 1993.
Mm-hmm.
That means the episode that aired when she was born wouldn't have been until January 6th, 1994. And that was season 5's Homer the Vigilante. So when Lisa's saxophone is stolen, Homer creates a group to, find the cat burglar. So just remember that, Steve, that
wow,
she was only a week old when Homer the Vigilante first aired.
And what's funny is you're like calling her out for being young, but she's 32.
To us, that is young. Like,
I know.
Watching Homer the Vigilante, that's considered a classic episode written by John Swartzwelder, for Christ's sake.
Oh yeah, it's a great episode, and it is like very old classic episode, but it's just funny how, yeah, that youngin' who is 32 years old and a full-ass adult.
I know, and her mother was like almost giving birth when the previous episode, December 16th, yes, was a couple weeks away, but, fully aware, and that was, of course, the episode Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling. Marge becomes addicted to gambling, and of course that was written by the great Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein. So here we are, Broti Gupta, continue to work on the Simpsons writing episodes, and we see Bill Oakley talking about McDonald's chicken strips.
Huh. It's funny that we're talking about food, especially chain restaurants, for this episode.
I always thought we should do a podcast where it was you and I reviewing chain food restaurants. A couple of annoyed grunt boys like ourselves.
That's a good idea. Yeah, the annoyed grunt boys do food. I like it.
But we'd have to have like a guest every week who's actually funnier than us and more talented.
Oh, sure. And maybe like a rating system like, I don't know, like chopsticks or spoons or maybe knives. I don't know, somewhere around there.
Well, we'll think about that when we do our Patreon. But let's just not review McDonald's because it's too sacred, okay?
Yeah, that'll be our last episode, of course.
And let's inexplicably do Wendy's all the time.
A lot, and stand up for it, because even though it's kind of crappy.
But let's not do Subway, Steve. We know Subway sucks, okay?
It really does. Yeah, we can stop talking about it. Whatever they have, it's not good. Anyway, let's begin our episode, and we get a chalkboard gag. We're in like classic intro territory, except for our intro is a little different because we get like a little ska accent to the classic theme, which is fun.
Did you have immediate ejaculation from your penis when you saw a chalkboard gag, Steve?
I did. It might have been unrelated, but still, it was nice.
It's weird. We've talked about new episodes and how like the chalkboard gag has been kind of like non-existence for a couple seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we get one at this day and age, in this time of year, on our TVs was amazing. And it's Bart. Bart's still doing them.
That's good.
And he wrote, "No booger is so perfect, it demands to be flicked."
That seems pretty straightforward.
Now, we like to talk about how this might have come about, and we know Krabappel has since passed. And the new teacher, which I forgot her name, but played by the actress Kerry Washington, Bart must have said, "I'm going to flick a booger."
Or he did flip a burger. He did flip, not flip a burger. I'm thinking about food again. This food podcast we're going to do. He flicked a booger, and the teacher, whose name is Miss Payton, was like, hey, Bart, don't do that. And he's like, but it was the perfect booger, and it demanded to be flicked. And then she would reply and make him right that no booger is so perfect, it demands to be flicked.
So we had the chalkboard gag, right? But do we have a couch gag?
We sure do, Craig. And so on a Mac, a cursor clicks on the couch gag icon, which opens up a picture of the Simpsons on the couch. The user of the computer then stretches the picture horizontally and then vertically, and then resizes it to a small square, which creates icons for each of the people and items in the picture, such as Marge's beehive, which is probably arousing to Homer, Homer's face, a couch cushion, which is arousing for J.D. Vance, Lisa's dress, and Bart's little ass, which is probably arousing for Matt Gates. Lisa's hair, and then Lisa's pearls, and then the bows, eyes, and pacifier of Maggie. The cursor then drag and drops Homer's face into the recycling bin, but when it doesn't fit, Homer says, woohoo!
Wait, I thought... Okay. I thought those were Marge's breasts, not Bart's ass.
Oh!
I mean, it makes sense that's Bart's ass, but... You know, when she was Chesty LaRue?
Sure, yeah.
You see boobs, right?
I can see boobs now, yeah. It does look like a chest. It does look like cleavage.
Yeah. Well, that's like that old, trick, right? You just take a picture of butt cheeks and be like, hey, these are breasts, but it's really not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, didn't South Park do an episode where, Stan, they had to take a picture of his mom's breasts, but they just put, Cartman's butt cheeks together to give, the sixth graders
a
picture of. Yeah.
I also have a weird memory of a Barks root beer commercial from the 90s in which two bald men put their heads together at such an angle that it looks like a butt.
Wow, that commercial sounds like it had a bite.
It did.
Barks has a bite, Steve.
It does. It's the only caffeinated root beer that is popular, and it's not even that good.
No, it's my least favorite of the root beers.
Yeah, I'm an A&W for the big chain brands, but of course IBC is really good as well.
I mean, big chain brands, I go with Mug or Dad's.
Mm-hmm.
But if you find a lot of breweries around here, I know this area, but I'm sure all over, will have their own signature root beer.
Mm-hmm.
Anything local is far superior.
Oh, yeah.
There is a brand that's called Stevens, and it's a really good one.
I know that one. It is very good.
It's because it has your name, right?
Exactly.
Steve is known for brewing coffee, not root beer.
But as a young boy, my dad would brew root beer every now and then, and it was quite tasty as well.
Are you sure he wasn't just brewing actual beer?
I mean, he was doing that as well. I think he made the root beer to get me to have free labor and to shut me up about how much he's brewing.
All right, well, Steve, let's begin our episode, and it begins, as it always does, at the try and save. So after grabbing groceries, Marge, Bart, and Lisa head to the car. Bart and Lisa both call out shotgun, and though Bart may have uttered the word first, Marge is tired of this old argument, declaring that Lisa will sit in the front seat. I know that term shotgun, but Steve, where does that come from? Why is calling shotgun let you sit in the front?
I always assumed, and this could be apocryphal, but I always assumed it was from the Old West days when there were people in wagons, and the person on the left would take the reins of the horses, and the person on the right would have the gun to shoot whatever needs to get shot. But yes, it does. It's riding shotgun is a term in the Old Wild West. So the guard would sit on the passenger seat with a shotgun to protect from potential threats.
I'm very proud that we taught something to our listeners today.
Yes, and nothing else in the next, hour and a half that we're going to talk about, a 22-minute episode. You'll learn something. That one thing.
This is something you could talk to at a party. You can't be like, oh, did you know Marge's beehive has this many squiggles?
Mm-hmm.
No one cares about that.
Right.
Steve, how many squiggles does Marge's hair have?
There are 14.
Okay. Is that true, or are you just making this up?
I am making that up.
All right. We know that Bart is supposed to have 9 when you draw him.
Right.
Right? Isn't it 9? Or is it 11? Guys, listen to another Simpsons podcast for those kind of facts. We only have facts about shotguns.
Exactly.
We're going to probably have to start actually implementing the shotgun rule pretty soon in this country, right?
Yeah.
When we drive in our car, have a shotgun because, I don't know, martial law. And
Yeah, I'm not a big gun guy, but I would suggest if you're in America, maybe think about arming yourself now.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, back at The Simpsons, the next day, at the breakfast table, Lisa wishes the family a happy start to the school week. Bart sees this as an opportunity to get revenge on his sister by copying her speech. So everything that Lisa says, Bart repeats. Though Lisa thinks that Bart may be above such childish behavior, he continues to parrot her every last word. And Homer wonders aloud if Bart is copying everyone, but when his worry is met with silence, he breathes a sigh of relief. Now this is like classic kid stuff, the copying what people say trope. And because I'm the youngest in my family, I never really had it happen to me, but I'm sure I did it to like my sister.
Yeah, at first I was thinking, do you think Caroline Omini was around when the story was pitched? Because there was an episode of Full House where Michelle is aping Stephanie. Mm-hmm. I wonder if Caroline was around that time. But it's not like, I'm not saying like Full House, but like this is such a thing. And I'm sure I did it with my sister. We were only 4 years apart. So, and probably with our friends too, like when you're in elementary school.
Oh, for sure.
Or middle school or high school, or when you're drunk and 27 at a bar.
Exactly. I like coffee. I like coffee. I like coffee. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Lisa tries to outsmart her brother by saying, I love Lisa so much, I wish I was Lisa. Bart once again repeats back what she said. Lisa was confident that her ruse would work. But as Marge points out, Bart commits to the bit, as he always has. So to prove Marge's point even further, Bart continues to ape Lisa's speech in the classroom, out to dinner, and an eye exam, and even interrupting Homer's new favorite show of all time.
The novel has two equally important protagonists. Mouse and motorcycle.
Grilled vegetables, and you ordered the same thing just after she did.
E, B, Z, T, O, V.
What's up, food fighters? I'm Thad Parkour. Today on Dude vs. Food, I'm going to war with 10 buckets of fried chicken skin served on top of a smash burger the size of a laser disc. Give him hell, Thad.
Dad.
Yes?
Bart's using the bathroom and he doesn't wash his hands, so I've got 20 seconds tops. Make him stop copying me. Please, it's been a month. That is a huge percentage of my short life.
Not now, honey. Daddy's watching his latest favorite show of all time. We can talk about jazz later.
Dad, please, he won't stop. Dad, please, he won't stop. Ah!
There's a fun visual bit, since we're a podcast, you can't see it. When Lisa's coming in to talk to Homer, he's like, what is it, Lisa? But he has the sunglasses to ape, speaking of aping Thad. So he's looking at Lisa from the glasses behind his head. Oh, that's a fun little bit of animation.
I do enjoy that a lot, and it's also like just a good emulation of the Guy Fieri type. I also like in that clip when they're in the classroom, that camera shot of Bart's head just eclipsing over Lisa's head. I think that was a really good bit of animation.
Yeah, really great, I think, directing in this episode from Debbie Bruce Mahan, which I don't feel like we've really had a lot with her directing.
No, I feel like we might have had a couple episodes that she's written, but yeah, I don't think we've seen her directorial stuff a bunch.
Wait, she's written too? I thought she was a director.
I believe she's written a couple episodes, yes.
Oh, cool. I have a question that I don't think we can answer, but now when they record, the actors record their lines, they don't record together, right? They just record separate?
Right, I do believe so.
So I'm just wondering, like, does Nancy record her second, and then Yardley, is she recording those first? Because, like, the annoyance that Lisa has to get from Bart, like, is that stage direction or, like, in the script? I'm just wondering, like, what, or do you think, like, maybe they did do this together?
I mean, I would assume that they probably got together because, you know, after, like, 36 years, they probably, I would hope, are cool with one another. But yeah, I feel like it's so fluid. I know you could edit them together, but it feels so fluid that I am assuming that they did it together.
And with technology these days, with like Zoom and the way like we're recording TV shows and animation podcasts, everyone now, like a lot of these voice actors have their own home studios.
Right.
So they could probably actually record together, not in the same room, but via the World Wide Web.
Yeah, think about it. If that were around in season 11, Maud Flanders might still be alive today.
We should try that, Steve. But of course, we're real podcasters. We get together, every week at the Annoyed Grunt Boy Studios here in Burbank, California.
Ah, yes.
With a live audience. We have our own separate dressing rooms.
Of course, we've got, craft services and producers and PAs and all the crew doing such good work.
Our craft services is literally craft. It's just a bunch of macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm. But it works.
and then, our assistant is this little German kid, and he's always eating our macaroni and cheese. And I'm like, hey, little Adolf, give me that macaroni and cheese. He's like, no, Minecraft. Anyways, Steve, Thad, this Guy Fieri, he's kind of like a cross between, obviously visually very much Guy Fieri, but who was that? Adam Richman, who was the Man vs. Food. Now he's just a scholar on the History Channel, or one of those those shows that blank build America.
Right.
Like, it used to be like the food, now it's like the toys, and it's like the textiles, and he just knows everything about things now, Adam Richman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got really smart after just binge eating.
And I'm not accusing him of anything, but there's some episodes of those shows I'm watching, and he's talking, and he's blinking really rapidly. I'm like, is this dude on coke?
There has to be a secret to him not being as big as he could have been, considering all the food that he ate. And, cocaine could be that trick.
Yeah, maybe it's helping him, be stable, which is fine.
Yeah.
Cocaine, I think, although I've never personally done it, I think cocaine got a bad rap in the 80s because of Ronald Reagan and that administration.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, although having spent time with people who do coke frequently, coke people are really annoying.
I know, we're more of a Pepsi people, so.
Exactly. I am a part of the Royal Crown Cola Kingdom.
Hey, I think RC Cola is perfectly acceptable in my stomach.
Yes. When the question is Pepsi not okay? Then there's RC.
But I'm talking about, of course, the Thad Parkour. That voice, that's not one of your regular Simpsons cast members, is it?
No, it feels like I'm watching Adventure Time, because that sounds like Jake the dog. That's right, it's John DiMaggio.
To Futurama reference instead.
Oh, that makes far more sense. That's Bender. That's, Bender. It's John DiMaggio.
I feel like John DiMaggio should have been on last week's episode because it was about baseball, and his grandfather was Joe DiMaggio.
Does that mean he's related to Marilyn Monroe somehow?
Yeah, he's part Marilyn Egg.
That makes sense. I did see him walk by an air vent once.
Yeah. And he didn't put his hands down on the dress he was wearing.
Nope. I can see why they call him Bender. I do want to talk about real quick. I know we've been talking about this clip for quite a while, but it's a little weird that Lisa was reviewing, for one, The Mouse and the Motorcycle. It's appropriate for second grade, but I feel like it's not appropriate for Lisa. Also, her saying that the motorcycle was one of the protagonists is a little weird because it's not. It's a motorcycle.
I'm pretty sure that book was read to me, or I read it as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Beverly Cleary is clearly one of the child authors. Not an author that was a child.
Right.
But, author for children's books. But I'm not too familiar. Is this about Mickey getting a Harley?
Yes, he hops on Joker's assistant and fucks their brain out.
Jesus. Come on, this is a family podcast.
Sorry. Of course it is. The Simpsons family. No, it's, there's a mouse, and he has a mouse-sized motorcycle, and I don't remember anything else that happens, but that certainly happens. I was more of a Henry Higgins kid, which is another Beverly Cleary character who just is a boy, and he does boy things, instead of Ramona, who does girl things.
Isn't Henry Higgins from My Fair Lady?
Maybe it's Henry Huggins.
Okay.
I don't remember things. But remember The Simpsons?
Yes, let's do that. What would happen if you gave Bart a cookie instead of a mouse?
I think he'd enjoy the cookie far more than the mouse. Anyway, 2 months later, Lisa wearily watches as Bart plays video games, reluctantly accepting that Bart copying her is her new reality. And at the same time, Bart thinks to himself, this is my new reality. Ever the optimist, Lisa thinks she can create something positive from all of Bart's antics.
So she begins by learning, and thereby teaching Bart, beginning Mandarin Chinese, then using Bart's mockery as an extra voice in protesting touch tanks at the Springfield Aquarium. Her saxophone practicing turns into a jam session as Bart mimics her playing row, 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 your boat, with surprisingly proficient skill. Lisa remarks that he is making terrific progress, and Bart, as expected, says the same thing.
See, this is why I think Bart has a lot of potential, because, they wanted to play drums. He played drums, no problem. He sat down with Lisa for about a month or two to play saxophone, and he's as good as her. I think Bart is a prodigy, and people just don't give him the time of day.
I don't claim to be Dr. Titian, but is that how ADHD, if you focus on one skill, or is it Asperger's? I know it's one of those things, right, where you could be proficient if your just mind is set to one task.
Yeah, it's the term is often known as hyper-focusing, where you become obsessive about one thing, be it a skill or, a pop culture thing or a beverage, and then you just focus on that most of your life, and then you become an expert in it just by proxy of doing it all the time and knowing the ins and outs of it.
All right, so Bart can be hyper-focused. All right.
Yeah. So after 6 long months of Bart copying her, Lisa gets an idea. So she writes a letter as Bart and reads it to him as they sit on the couch. And as he reads back what she wrote, a surprisingly emotional bond is formed.
I'm Bart Simpson, and this is how I feel.
I'm Bart Simpson, and this is how I feel.
I have spent the last 6 months repeating every word said by my sister, Lisa Simpson. We entered as adversaries, and through some strange magic, we have emerged as friends. I set out to break my sister's spirit, but wound up giving her a priceless gift, the knowledge that her brother will always be by her side, and so she will always feel loved and protected. I am the best big brother a girl could ever ask for. Aren't you going to repeat that last part?
I don't think I can.
Does that mean it's over? Because I'm not sure I want it to be. Whoa, I need Bart.
I love you too.
Hugging. Did you teach them that?
I guess I must have.
That was so beautiful. I'm gonna go call my sisters and tell them how much they mean to me.
Steve,
wow.
I just can't. That bit, I just love when Marge's to Homer, did you just teach him that? He's like, I must have. That was such a good, I was, literally not tearing up. I'm a man. We don't do that kind of thing.
No.
It was very touching. And then that joke, I think it was just a solid way to okay, well, sorry we were pulling on your heartstrings there, guys. Here's a good joke.
Yeah, I think that's it was a really beautiful scene and really well done. And then, the capper at the end is really nice. And in fact, it was so emotional that once good website crack.com had AI write an article about how sweet that moment was. There's a 600-word or whatever article about that scene and about how modern episodes don't have the same heart as the old ones. But I read it, and it's clearly written by AI. But so even crack.com noticed how good of a scene that was.
So crack.com just now has AI write their articles?
Seems to be, yeah.
They do that as a joke. We've done it in a couple episodes. We had AI do something for us as a joke. But now Cracked, who is, I'm assuming, paid writers.
They did for a little while, and then they got all that user-submitted content, which became their, tentpole.
So there's probably just, one dude or dudette working at Cracked and just getting all this information. All right.
It seems to be. I don't frequent the website anymore, but, every now and then I'll look them up, and yeah.
Do you feel if, this was only, the first, maybe, 5 minutes of the show?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that if we had another, 16 minutes before this, and this is how it ended, would have been, a perfect episode?
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, what if, like, throughout the episode that we're about to talk about more, Bart and Lisa were just in the background doing the copying thing and heightening it more and more, but not like as a plot point, but just in the background, and then it wrapped with this? I think that could have been powerful.
It almost feels like we had a long introduction, and now we're doing a whole different episode. I mean, maybe. Let's just continue, Steve.
Okay.
So, as Marge runs upstairs to call Patty and Selma, there's a special man that Homer needs to bare his soul to as well. Well, he still can. Is it Flanders? Is it Grandpa? That's what I assumed. Unky Herb? Of course not. Homer declares his love for Thad Parkour while watching the Chew Network at Moe's.
So, Thad is taking on the spiciest of ramen in a city famous for its fiery authenticity of Asian flavors, Des Moines, Iowa. So, after slurping the soup, Thad digs in, taking in a spicy noodle and then dunking his head in a tank of milk for relief. While Lenny finds the performative gluttony to be offensive, and Carl agrees, citing all the starving supermodels around the world who would kill for that painfully spicy ramen.
So Thad inhales a noodle through his nose and then screams in delighted pain, making Homer realize that he'd like to have a similar relationship to soup. The TV food host Thad calls out his food duders, informing his fans that Dude vs. Food Pig Rig is coming to Springfield.
Oh. So hearing this, Homer screams like an excited schoolgirl, or boy, and his excitement only grows as Thad describes how he'll be unhinging his jaw, donkey style, at Luigi's Italian restaurant to eat a 17-pound meatball. Homer recalls going to that eatery once, and Thad will be going mono a ball on October 10th, giving Homer something to live for until that date, which also happens to be my wedding anniversary.
Do you think the Simpsons writers knew that? And we'll throw in a nice nod to annoyed grunt boy Steve.
Yeah, I think that Broti somehow knows who I am and wanted to throw that in there. She could be Laura's friend, maybe. They're about the same age.
Yeah. I do like how Homer was like, I've been to that place once. Like, literally, I feel like we've been to Luigi's every episode this whole season.
It's the restaurant in Springfield now. Like, I feel like COVID killed all the businesses except for Luigi's and Moe's.
Yeah, when's the last time they've been to the Gilded Truffle? I feel like people can't afford that place anymore.
It's out of touch, yeah. I think you're right.
All right, well, the big day finally comes, and before the festivities begin, the third best Luigi in culture, of course, after Mario's brother and some guy Mangione, again, not a political podcast, ponders the giant orb of meat, contemplating the fact that they asked, could we make it? But never, should we make it? Apologies to the Italians out there. No, never apologize to Italians.
That's right.
Homer, Kirk Van Houten, Lorraine Lumpkin, and other food fanatics grow excited as the show's producer introduces the man who eats food for breakfast, Thad Parker. That was a funny joke. Reminds me of my favorite joke in Happy Gilmore.
You're in big trouble, though, pal. I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
No.
Such a great line. Steve, do you think there's going to be a reference to that line in Happy Gilmore 2?
Yeah, I mean, since it's aimed at millennials, it'll, instead of eating shit, it'll be eating ass. So, amidst the smoke and spotlights, the kitchen door opens and a figure in a button-up shirt with chili peppers on it and cargo shorts emerges. Homer and the rest of the crowd cheer wildly, but as the TV host/competitive eater steps out, he lets out a pained groan, showing bags under his eyes and grayed skin. And Kirk remarks that he resembles Luann's uncle after the neighbors found him.
So ever the trooper, Thad sits at the table and weakly says, let's chew this thing. After a half-hearted oink oink, he goes for a bite of the giant meatball, but ends up only scraping a thin layer with his teeth before hitting his head on the table and passing out. Homer runs to Mr. Parkour to check on him, but the producer takes his pulse and declares that it's a wrap on Thad. It seems that 400 episodes shoot over the span of 2 months can really take its toll.
It's true. So Homer begs his gluttonous hero to overeat something that shows he's okay, but as Thad explains, it appears that this time, food beat dude. So holding Thad in his arms, Homer screams out, no! But interrupts his own drawn-out cry when he sees the meatball mover, a big rod that holds a meatball on a chain, and he's offering to take it off the people's hands if no one else wants it. He then continues his impassioned, "No!" interrupts again to tell the crew that his car is parked out front and then they can just squish the meatball in the trunk. And later, Thad wakes up at the Springfield General Hospital, where one goes when WebMD isn't loading. And as we'll hear in this clip, Homer's there for Thad with a solution to revive his passion for chowing down.
I don't get it, Thad. Just last episode, you were a healthy young man drinking 20 gallons of ranch dressing to win a T-shirt.
I'm sorry, brother. I really hate letting my fans down, but I died 3 times in the ambulance. I don't think that's good for you.
Doc, you gotta fix him. Where's his indomitable spirit? His can't-chew attitude?
Can't-chew attitude? Critically low. Damn, he's as good as dead.
Wait, there's one more thing we can try. Thad, if you ever put your faith in a relationship with an obsessive superfan, let it be in the imaginary friendship I think I have with you.
You definitely scare me a little, but okay. What is this place?
Just breathe.
Incredible. What's happening?
This is my secret smelling place.
Steve, where's your secret smelling place?
My butt.
Jesus, Steve. There's children listening.
Oh, sorry. My anus. Clinical.
Say pooper. It's
a
lot
sorry.
Cleaner.
My pooper is a lot cleaner.
I remember when we used to live together downtown Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to morning classes at my school, college, if you will.
I will.
That was just a scam.
Like most college, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I got my student loans nullified because of scam. Anyways, I would go to early morning classes, and I'd always walk by this bakery, and god damn it, it was just like the best walk of my entire day. Like it lifted me up.
Oh, nice.
Fresh bakery, like, oh man. So good. Like, we go to a mall. Yes, I know they don't exist anymore, but they still do. But, like, still just walking by that good old Cinnabon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's magical. So that's why I'm asking. Like, what's a good smelling place for you?
I was actually thinking about another bakery that when we lived together downtown, I would walk to the Starbucks that I worked at, and there would be a bakery like 2 blocks away that was far better than us, but they'd make cinnamon rolls every morning. That is one of those smells that I just, fell in love with. I think walking into a pizzeria for me, like
yes.
It's almost like not just the pizza, but like the smell of like the cleaning rag dipped in like the sanitizer, like just the whole aura of a pizza place always like excites me.
We'll go on walks and we'll walk by a Domino's. Mm-hmm. And I know Domino's is, people have their issues with it. Personally, I think it's fine. It's like Taco Bell. Taco Bell's not Mexican. It's Taco Bell. Like Domino's isn't pizza. It's Domino's. Okay.
100%.
Enough said. But just even walking by that Domino's, I'm like, oh man, there's something about that smell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have like a wood-fired pizza oven place, like that, of course, is tits. But I'm sorry, breasts. That's Thank breasts.
Milk makers.
Yeah, mommy knockers. It's like just that smell. And I imagine because you roast coffee.
Yeah.
Another good smell.
Mm-hmm. It would, it's funny because, like, I think that sometimes if you work in a place where there is a smell and you get used to it, you either, like, start to ignore it or you take it for granted and you just start to dislike it. But no, smelling coffee, fresh brewed, is a really cool thing, and I still love it every day. And it's cool to see the array of smells. Speaking
of brew...
Mm-hmm.
I also think like a brew pub when you got that like barley hop smell.
Mm-hmm.
It's not sweet, but it's just a nice like yeasty smell.
It feels very warm to me. Yeah, it's like very cozy, very relaxing. I had another good smelling place that was uncommon, and now I've lost it.
Oh, I know, the morgue.
That's it. That's right.
Formaldehyde and blood. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The jerk off rooms at a adult bookstore.
Please, nudie booths.
Cum dungeons.
There it is.
The Spankatoriums?
That's just where people go to spank. It's not actually a spankatorium.
All right, well, Steve, think about your lovely smells. I imagine your wife's candle studio.
Indeed, that does smell very good because she has candles and perfumes and room sprays. And if you go to shopburrowhome.com and users Annoyed Grunt Boy, get 10% off.
All right, well, Thad sits on a rock in the woods as Homer tells him that from this very special spot, you can smell every meal that is being cooked in Springfield. So from windowsill pies to dishwasher poached salmon, you can take it all in. Thad asks how this phenomenon is possible. Before we continue, Steve, the poached salmon dishwasher thing, like I've heard people do this. They put their salmon, I think it's still like in like a hermetically sealed or like a sealed bag, right?
Right.
But you still just like put it in and turn your dishwasher on and it cooks. And one thing, like, I know this is probably a joke because cooking fish is not like, are you cooking fish, Steve?
Yeah,
Can't
never.
Wait to dig in. But I will never do this to my dishwasher. I know it's still in a bag. It's like vacuum sealed, but still, I'm not doing it.
I would go as far to say, and this sounds weird, but like I remember there was a time when people were like grilling things under the hood of their car, and I would rather eat like a burger that was grilled under the hood of a car than eat dishwasher fish.
Yeah, just it's a waste of water for one thing.
It's true.
Altogether, it's not saving you time. It's just annoying. I think like, ooh, look, I could just do this. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, dishwasher cycles take forever.
Right.
And you can grill a fish in like 10 minutes. Like,
fish is like one of the fastest things to cook.
And usually, if it's not cooked all the way, who cares? It's sushi then.
Yeah. You don't want to, overcook the fish, which then it's just not good.
Right.
It's like the only thing that like needs to like really be thoroughly cooked through is pork and chicken.
Yeah, chicken's the only one that ever like really freaks me out that I want it done. I don't ever like want to overdo my chicken, obviously, but that's the one that I always think about for disease and stuff.
Yeah, you don't want chicken sushi.
No. Does sound good, but yeah, probably don't.
Stop talking about food, Steve.
Thad was wondering how the smell phenomenon was so possible, and Homer isn't sure, but he ventures a guess, using the skills of a meteorologist. He described how the warm, moist air from the ocean meets the cool breeze descending from the mountains, coupled with Springfield's unique topography, which is a remnant of the last Ice Age glaciers, and it creates a rare system of high and low pressure zones, also known as an albedo, which sent aroma-rich air to the natural amphitheater that the two men find themselves in. But that's just a guess.
Now, the animation was just a lot of fun because it was like Homer, but with like tiny little, like those old like animated science videos that you'd see in school.
Mm-hmm.
And like even the mouth was like synced up.
Yeah. I've said it before, I love when the Simpsons do like not Simpsons animation and try it out, and that one was great.
Well, after taking a deep sniff, Thad notices that every smell is distinct, taking him back to a specific time and place in his life. He smells a pepperoni pizza and is set back to being a young boy enjoying a slice after one of his Little League games. There's a connection. We used to do this all the time on the podcast. So always forget.
Yeah.
There was always like one thing from the previous episode that could connect to this week's episode. There is baseball.
Perfect. I love it. Good job.
So he gets a whiff of braised bok choy, which recalls a culinary expedition to China. The smell of the ribeye steak reminds him of enjoying the cut of meat with steak sauce while watching, and hopefully his significant other, giving birth at the hospital. It's just like some random lady giving birth and he's just eating the steak.
He just swings by the hospital every now and then. Goes to the maternity ward.
You know, the ribeyes at hospitals are affordable and quite tasty, so, you know.
And plentiful if it's a bad hospital.
Oh, Jesus.
So, Homer's smell spot has reignited something deep within Thad. He shouts that food is a miracle, and that he loves it. Just then, he notices a scent unlike he's ever smelled before. He tells Homer that they need to find the source of the smell, and so Thad runs off, and Homer follows, saying that he's going to play some phone games.
So the two men walk across a busy highway, Thad's nose following the scent while Homer's nose is buried in his phone. Using like a family circus style tracking, we follow Thad and Homer as they go all over Springfield until they end up at the gates of the mansion, which is oddly unsecured. Again, it's the same style of animation that Homer was describing the Simpsons. Also, that looks like more like an iPad that he was on. Not to nitpick here, not on a phone.
That's true. And what is he playing? He can't play Tapped Out, so I would assume that would be his favorite game.
He plays the Family Guy version now.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's probably better. So Thad and Homer walk right through the entry and ring the doorbell of that mansion. Homer finds the house familiar, but when he last saw it, he was blindfolded and in the trunk of a car. Just then, it's Fat Tony wearing a Kiss the Mook apron, commenting how nice it is to see them unexpectedly, especially since they made it past the mob's security guard. From the balcony, Louie apologizes to his boss, and he blames his distraction on what he thought was a pebble in his shoe, but it actually turned out to be the embroidery on his sock.
Now, I know this is Fat Tony's mansion, but do you think they just used the Burns mansion as a double? It looks too much like the Burns mansion. I think they just didn't have enough money in the sets for The Simpsons that they just kind of redressed Burns' mansion as Tony's there.
When they were walking through the gates, I literally thought, what are they doing at Burns' house?
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Look, just spend a little bit more money, Simpsons, on securing sets. I know this industry is a little tough these days, but, if you have to use CGI to mimic a new set, I understand. But, you got to pay a lot of those labor union workers to build sets, so.
Yeah, and they're afraid to use CGI because if they had to blue screen it or green screen it, Marge would turn into a ghost with a floating head, so that wouldn't be any good.
In the Simpsons universe, I believe it's a yellow screen.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
So Homer is eager to leave the Mafia Don and his goons alone, but Thad is eager to learn what Tony is cooking. He runs in and finds a stew on the stove, which is the source of the amazing smell. Fat Tony explains that the recipe is the one thing he has left of a great man. So he invites Homer and Thad to hear the whole sad story, not because it's any of their business, but because the pot needs to simmer for exactly the length of one whole sad story. Here is the tragic tale of Gwaltneup, the stew of violence.
When I was a child, there existed an uneasy peace between Springfield's two most powerful families, the Italian, thing of ours, and the Prussian mob. To maintain the peace, each boss would send his youngest son to live with the other family as collateral. It was a ceremony steeped in tradition.
Flip, flop, clippity-clop, I declare a sun swap.
My surrogate father's name was Wilhelm von Wondhelm. It was rumored that he had never in his life smiled, and I believed it. Wilhelm conducted the mob's business from the kitchen of his restaurant. He had a deep love for the grim, humorless flavors of German cuisine, a passion that was not shared by his eldest son and heir, Maximilian.
Where are you going? We need that blood sausage for the dessert.
No, can't do, Pops. My band has a gig tonight.
Max had fallen prey to the scourge that was destroying America's youth, the ska revival.
Scary.
Steve, you were into ska for a little bit, right?
Still am.
Let me just check you out real quick. He's got checkered shoes on, and he's got a checkered hat, checkered belt, and he dances like the Charlie Brown kids on cocaine.
Yep, that's about right.
And he's wearing a Rastafarian hat.
Yeah, man, it's problematic, but, it's cool.
So, the ska revival, this is placing this episode when we were in high school, because that's kind of when the ska revival happened.
Well, Craig, it depends on which era you're talking about, because that is known as the third wave of ska, but there's also the second wave of ska, which took place in the late 70s, when working class English punks befriended Jamaican immigrants in England, Coventry, England, to be exact.
It could be, because when we see, spoilers, Wondhelm, or his child, he looks a lot older, so you might be right.
It's hard to say, and yeah, I don't know.
We don't just have good old John DiMaggio, Bender, of course, from Futurama. I think we have another Futurama voice actor in this episode.
That's right. It's Maurice LaMarche, who's known, of course, as one of the best voice actors in the industry, aside from appearing on Futurama and The Simpsons. He also played Orson Welles and notably the brain of Pinky and the Brain.
Who's Craig's favorite voice that he ever did?
Who's that, Craig?
You really don't know, Steve. Well, maybe, Steve, you should call someone and ask them. But who are you going to call?
I want a new drug. No, Ghostbusters.
Yes. I see what you did there, because...
yeah.
Ghostbusters, yeah. He's Egon. Egon Spangler in the real Ghostbusters.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. We also have Mads Mikkelsen.
No, so the internet said that he was going to play Wilhelm von Wundhelm, but he's not in this episode at all. In fact, he's not being shown as being on The Simpsons at all, so I think that rumor was apocryphal. But I think Maurice LaMarche does a great job.
Why would the internet lie to us, Steve?
I don't know. It's like, who can you trust if you can't trust the internet? Also, I like that he had the World War I spike in the chef's hat. That was fun.
So, despite his father's wishes to finish the blood sausage, Maximilian grabs his pork pie patch with a checkered two-tone band and his trombone, hopping into a Volkswagen van with his fellow bandmates. On the side of the van is a rude boy wiener plating a meat trombone. That sounds dirtier than it is. A logo for the band, which is called the Skankfurters. Very funny name. Continue the long-held tradition of bad puns and wordplay in the names of ska bands. So some real-life ska band names include...
Osama Bin Laden.
Skaba the Hutt.
Abracadabra.
Cobra Sky Mander.
The Flux Ska Passengers.
And the Ska Skank Redemption.
That's fun. I like that those are all real stuff.
Yeah.
So Wilhelm tells his son that he's eaten in the kitchen rather than tromboning all night long to a calypso-flavored fusion of jazz and punk rock, which is kind of a reductive way to describe this genre. Maximilian speeds away, and Wilhelm returns to the station to find a young Fat Tony chopping away at the sausage. Sure, he may chop like a Belgian, but with ceaseless repetition and unyielding criticism from Wilhelm, he may just learn. And just a mere 4 years later, Fat Tony earned the respect of his de facto father.
You schnitzel well. You are a schnatchel.
And then it happened. The old man smiled at me.
Maximilian, put down that brassen tutor. Tonight, I need you here with me.
Why don't you ask your new son to help you?
This was the night Wilhelm was to pass his greatest secret on to his son. The recipe for Getwaltenkaff, stew of violence. A centuries-old dish served only at the initiation of new members into the Prussian mob. For his son to reject this sacred honor was a stab to Wilhelm's heart.
Ska is no future. How much was your band paid to perform at the grand opening of the Continental Tire Store?
$50.
But there are 17 of you, and several who do nothing but dance around. This recipe is at the center of everything we believe. Please, let me pass it on to you.
All right, so in that clip we learned about the stew, Gewaltentop, and it's an actual soup that is invented or created by J. Kenji Lopez-Alt and Deb Perlman, two real-life chefs, and they also host a podcast together called The Recipe. And we'll post it online, but we have the recipe of the soup, and it's basically has all the ingredients, but basically it's a wild boar stew with, veggies and some blackcurrant wine and a little bit of blood.
The blood of what animal, Steve?
Why, that's a kobold.
Well, I only know of a Steve Bald, and that's you.
It is very true.
I mean, I have most of these ingredients, except for half of them. Do I have to use a leg of wild boar? Or can I use, leg of a lamp from the Christmas Story movie?
Only if it's Italian.
Well, no, I think it was French. Remember in the movie, he's like fragile. Okay, dumb joke.
Yeah.
But it's great that you can see the recipe. I mean, we could explain it, but I don't think we need to.
Yeah.
No one's gonna cook this, but I kind of want to. I don't really know where I get a leg of wild boar though.
You find the rest of a wild boar, I would assume.
Yeah. What if I only have the arm?
What if it's not that wild?
Yeah. Like what if it's a tame boar?
Mm-hmm. Or a tame...
Jeffrey Tame Boar.
That might be a little problematic.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Steve. Wilhelm tries to give the secret recipe to his son, but Maximilian skanks away, leaving his father in tears. As Fat Tony describes, Wilhelm may have survived car bombings, bullets, and the shame of adult braces, but not this dishonor.
So after having a heart attack, Wilhelm tells young Tony that the recipe belongs with someone who respects tradition. So he gives it to Tony, telling him to protect it with his life, and to never share it with his son. And then after seeing how gross it is underneath the oven, Wilhelm dies.
Well, back in the present day, Fat Tony explains how Maximilian has replaced his father in the Prussian mob, ruling with an iron fist while constantly releasing poorly received ska albums on SoundCloud. Some tracks for his band's latest 1.5-star albums include Skinny the Showdown, Slim Brim Fedora, and 16 Horns Can't Be Wrong.
So Fat Tony kept his promise to Wilhelm, never sharing the recipe with Maximilian. He then asked Homer and Thad to turn around so we can add the final secret ingredients to the stew. So after consulting the handwritten recipe and adding a dash of something special, Tony allows Homer and Thad to turn back around just in time to taste the stew.
So as we'll hear in this clip, the life-changing concoction sends Thad and Homer deep into the depths of Flavor Town. A few weeks later, Thad has a new show inspired by the stew.
Oh, it's so good I never want to swallow. Me neither. Let's stay like this forever.
Okay. I love you.
I love you too.
Everyone shut up! Dad has a new show and the trailer's about to drop. I said shut up! Shut up!
I'm Thad Parkour, and I'm a thief. Snitches get dishes on my new Chew Network show, Kitchen Betrayals. Watch me steal secret recipes from unsuspecting chumps and reveal them to the world. On the series premiere, I'll show you the murder stew that certified killers don't want you to know about.
Stew!
What's wrong?
Everything's fine. Take the baby and go to Flanders' panic room.
Ah, what a thief, Steve. Thad stole the Fat Tony stew.
So bad. And also, what do you think of his show, though? The Kitchen Betrayals. Would you watch that?
No. That was like, remember in the 90s when there was like the magician secrets revealed?
Yeah.
Like, that was like a big fuck you to magicians.
Mm-hmm. And like real magicians who weren't like David Copperfield or like the rich ones.
Yeah, more like David Copperfield, am I right?
It's true.
Yes, I've looked up like copycat recipes, but it's never the same. You know,
Right.
I'll look on like how do I make mac sauce or Popeye's chicken. You know, I'll make it like on multiple websites. I'll say here's the secret recipe, and it's never the same. So I think that show would suck. But now that I'm thinking about it, now I do want a show like that. Like you love Big Macs, now here's the secret recipe. So yeah, do you ever done copycat recipes?
I have done, actually, I've done the herbs and spice. I've done a spice blend of the Popeyes, and I've tried that. That's really good, but you're right, it's not the same. And I think there's that special something that chefs do to make the food extra special, and it's hard to recreate at home, and you shouldn't, because it's disrespectful, because it's an art.
Do you know what the secret recipe is? The chef's kiss it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, chef's kiss.
Tasty. I mean, compliments to the chef and his lips. Homer's concerned that if Fat Tony sees Thad's new show, he'll show up at 742 Evergreen Terrace, and before he can finish his thought, the doorbell rings. Homer screams, but it's just Marge, her hands full with groceries. So after letting out a sigh of relief, Homer opens the door to find Marge, along with a very worked up Fat Tony.
Do you think that if Raphael, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like kills someone, he's like, here's a sigh of relief?
I think so, yeah.
Well, Tony greets Homer, saying that he just ran into his charming widow. Marge laughs off the compliment, saying that she's not that charming, before running off to the kitchen. So this leaves Fat Tony to tell Homer that due to Thad sharing the recipe on TV, the Prussians are going to kill him, but not before he kills Homer first.
So Homer begs for his life, recalling all that they've been through and how shameful it would be to throw it all away for a recipe. Despite his pleas, Fat Tony gives Homer the old cement slipper treatment and pushes him over a bridge into the depths of the water, finally killing him forever.
And that's our episode.
Yep, that's it. We're done with everything.
All right, we'll be right back.
Now, a few moments later, Fat Tony gets a message on his phone.
Hey, Fat Tony, Homer here. You just threw me off a bridge. LOL. If you pull me up, I can save both our lives. Explain first, then I pull you up. Pull me up first. Scary turtle down here. Also running low on oxygen. Crying, laughing emoji.
If that TV show airs, the Prussians are going to find out that you had the recipe all along, and they're going to kill you. But I can sneak us on to the Chew Network lot, and together we can stop that show.
How?
I'm a deranged fan. All I do is think of ways to sneak onto the lot.
Okay, let's hurry before the Prussians catch on.
So speaking of the Ninja Turtles, I really like the way Fat Tony said "toidle." Delighted me. Also, the use of the meatball mover to pick up Homer.
Yeah, it's nice callback. They're bringing it back. That was Chekhov's gun of this episode.
The Chekhov's meat mover.
When I see a meatball mover, I'm like, I expect you to see that twice.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna pick up Homer the second time around.
Well, Tony gets into the driver's seat and Homer hops in the back seat, literally, as his feet are still trapped in the cement. It's very funny. They drive off, and behind them, the Volkswagen van of Skankfurters follows close behind, blasting that new tone beat.
At the Chew Network, Fat Tony and Homer walk to the security booth, both wearing frosted tips and patterned button-up shirts. Homer's with a flaming slice of bacon, while Tony opts for the more dignified chicken drumstick. Homer tells the guard that they are Thad Parkour lookalikes, there for the clam chowder chugathon.
I do love this look. Like, this is, if Tapped Out was on, like, they would have you be able to change Homer and Fat Tony's look to this. And again, new action figures.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah. So with a shrug, the guard says that seems like something the network would do and lets them in. So Fat Tony and Homer walk through the studio, passing for posters of other Chew Network originals such as
Cupcake Cornhole,
Pimp My Garage Freezer,
Milk Manor,
Expired Pork Challenge,
Scotty Boom's Death Row Bake Off,
and The Recipe featuring Kenji Lopez-Alt and Deb Perlman, the creators of the Death Stew. Steve, which show you're watching?
Well, we were talking about dangerous meat before, so I think I'm going to go with the Expired Pork Challenge. What about you?
I'm probably going to go with probably the Scotty Boom's Death Row Bake Off.
It's a reference to Chew Detective, which we reviewed at some point in time.
Oh, all right.
So once they arrive at the Kitchen Betrayal studio, Fat Tony points a gun at Thad, demanding to know how he got the recipe. After all, Tony took every precaution, like making them turn around. Just then, Homer notices something.
Wait a minute. Your super cool backwards sunglasses recorded everything!
You broke my heart, Thad's sunglasses. It's the Prussians! Run!
So Homer, Fat Tony, Thad speed off in Tony's car, with the Prussians following close behind as an up-tempo ska beat plays. So the members of the Skankfurters take out their instruments as Tony turns sharply down some stairs, and Maximilian shoots out Tony's back window, nearly hitting Thad. I was kind of hoping that like one of the bullets just like went into like Homer's head and just exploded. That would have been great.
It would have tied things up pretty cleanly, I think. But playing an armchair psychologist, Fat Tony comments that Maximilian is working through some big feelings, as his last memory of his father was a bitter one. Hearing this, Homer gets an idea. He tells Tony to give him the wheel, and the two men argue about who should go under whom, and what their feet and gabagools feel like.
So the van passes by Springfield Elementary, and hearing the music, Nelson, Milhouse, Bart, Lisa, JD, and Ralph all skank to the beat until the music is out of earshot. They are left wondering what the hell just happened. And I gotta say, it's probably one of my favorite scenes. Homer takes Thad and Tony to his desired destination, and though Tony wants to know where the forget about it they are, Homer wants them to have faith.
Wasn't enough just taking my father's love from me. You had to steal his recipe too?
Before you shoot, just take a deep breath through your nose.
There is nothing I could smell that could save your...
Because of what Fat Tony did, people all over this town are honoring your father's memory by making his most beloved dish.
Gewolten Tafel. Eat. There is no cold in the world that can stand up to Papa's special stew.
Oh, yum. What's in it?
That is a precious secret that one day I will share with you. For now, just eat, and know that your father loves you very much. Now, let's see what adventures brave Colonel Klink is having with that buffoon Hogan and his unruly friends.
Father did love me.
Steve, Father did love you. Just know that.
Wow. He never shared his recipe, but I'll take your word for it. I like that Wilhelm was rooting for Colonel Klink.
Yeah, it's probably much how like Germans when they watch Indiana Jones, they're always rooting for the Nazis. Or how Republicans when they watch Indiana Jones.
Yeah, or anything else, they just root for the Nazis.
Nazis. I hate these guys.
All right, well, Homer tells Maximilian that now the recipe has been shared with the world. His father will never truly be gone. Maximilian tells his goon, Frederick, to put down the sacks, as he has appointed Homer. So the Scott gangster follows the order, relieving everyone until Sax fires a bolt into the ground. This, again, just a really funny scene how, like, he just has the sax pointed, everyone, like, notices and freaks out. Mm-hmm. They're all relieved. Because at this point, they weren't, like, actually shooting bullets from the saxophone, or their instruments, right?
Right, no. Yeah, Maximilian had a gun, but everyone else didn't. And also the fact that the saxophone shoots the bullet from just a random hole on top and not out of the valve. Like, it's funny. It's really just a funny gag. So Fat Tony thanks his foe, then asks how his own youngest son is doing. Maximilian says that Tony's son is into making masks, while Tony says that Max's youngest is zeroing in on his allergies.
Now, the whole time I'm watching this episode, I'm thinking, wait a minute, Fat Tony has a son that likes to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And where is he? And why isn't he here? So this explains it.
No, it's a good point, yeah. Because I think his name was, like, Michael.
Yeah, but I'm confused about Max's son. Like, why is he with Tony?
It's the rite of passage that they talked about earlier where to keep the peace, the two gangs, like, swap sons.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that. I'm sorry. My bad. Well, maybe someone else listening to this podcast thought the same thing.
Yeah, it's a minor point.
But Michael isn't Max's son, right? That's actually Tony's son.
Yes, but we don't know where Max's son is because we never see him.
Is Fat Tony's son Michael? Is that actually Fat Tony's son? Or is that Fit Tony's son? Because technically, the Fat Tony we know now isn't the original Fat Tony.
That is true. And then, like a couple weeks ago, he got fit again with the weight loss drug.
It's all confusing. All right, Steve, but now I have like these gallons of water, and I'm trying to empty some water. Okay.
Gotta get out of Central Park.
Let's just finish this episode off, all right?
Okay.
Well, all is well with the gangsters, and since Kitchen Betrayals is a success, Thad is thinking about his next project, traveling the globe exploring local food scenes and fascinating cultures. Thad invites Homer to join him on his journey to eat around the world.
Well, Homer is honored, but heard the toilets in other parts of the world are slightly different, which scares him. And besides, everything Homer needs is right in front of him at the Lava Cake Manufactory, which offers all-you-can-eat fried anything. Thad remarks that he has grown as a person and wants Homer to respect his decision, but Homer just can't do it.
Thad's backwards sunglasses, which, as a bloated comic book guy, walks out of the chain restaurant with a massive menu, giving Homer his bib that says, "Full is a myth." After a respected salute, Homer goes to eat, and the credits roll. So obviously this Lava Cake Manufactory is, of course, a cheesecake factory. I haven't been to a cheesecake factory in a few years, Steve.
Yeah, me neither.
I feel like... I don't know if this is a joke jail, because I feel like Cheesecake Factory is such a reference in jokes because of the menu, and like, should we be done about it?
I think you might be right, because it is a little hokey.
I mean, I think they do serve hokey at Cheesecake Factory, so...
Well, they serve everything.
Yeah.
They have a big menu, have you heard?
Oh, man, that's a good joke, Steve. Keep that in. All right, well, Steve, I am going to think we need to take a break.
Okay.
Before we take the break, let's play out with a clip. And this is a clip that we could talk about it before we play it, Steve, because we've
All right.
seen this already.
That's right.
It's a callback to the plot from what we talked about 2 hours ago of Bart and Lisa, and Bart, of course, repeating everything Lisa says, but it takes place in the future. And it's nice because it's the same future Bart and Lisa that we see like in Bart to the Future, like those same kind of like designs. So it's nice. And we get a King and Kodos at the end. Is this considered canon? We talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
Because King and Kodos only exist in Treehouse of Horror or anytime it's a non-canonical episode. And I'm assuming it's not canon for the fact that Earth blows up.
Well, we don't know, though, because this is in the future, which hasn't happened yet. So it could just be The Simpsons predicting things like they always do.
Oh, man. I'm looking forward to that future.
Me
but
too.
Since it's like they're in their late 30s, maybe early 40s, it's going to be a while for us to get there because they're still only 10 and 8.
Yeah, that's going to take a while. And they don't seem to be getting any older any faster.
Yeah. Except for Apu's kids. They age.
That's true.
All right, Steve. Like I said, I'm going to take a break, and we'll come back and wrap this episode up. How about that?
Sounds great.
All right, we'll be right back.
Professor Lisa, we've established contact with the alien ship. As our lead astrophysicist, you have the honor of conveying humanity's first words to extraterrestrial life.
Visitors from another world.
Visitors from another world.
Not now.
Not now.
Can you just
This is really important.
God, you're annoying.
Get the hell out of here.
I hate you. Everyone hates you. Everyone hates you. Ah! Kill you.
Apparently, this species has a warlike nature. Commence obliteration.
Your fault. Your fault.
All right, Steve, we're back. Let's wrap up this week's episode, Stu Lies. We'll talk about our favorite jokes, favorite scenes. Maybe there's an MVJ. We'll give it a review, find out what we're watching next week. But before all of that, we are going to give each other a gift or multiple gifts like we always do. We like to find something from this episode that could be turned into a product. So, Steve, while plenty of things were here, I feel like I'm going to give you a gift, but also myself a gift because, it might be one of the similar gifts. But I got you Fat Tony's shirt at the end of the episode with the fried chicken on it, and I guess I'll be sporting Homer's flamin' shirt, the Hawaiian shirts.
Very nice.
So we could share. Let's also give Steve a meatball, all 17 pounds of it. But accidentally when I was typing out meatball, I accidentally forgot the A in meat and put an H at the end of T. So it says meth ball. So you get a meth ball. Yeah.
I'll take what I can get.
Yeah. I also got you tickets to the aquarium, but only to touch the animals. So you only get to go to the touch tanks.
Ooh.
And finally, you're going to get an apron that says Kiss the Mook. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. It sounds very racist.
Every time it does. Yeah. I don't know if it's okay or not. But what is okay
there you go, Steve.
Are those gifts. They're great. Thank you, Craig. And I think that my gifts to you are also complimentary to that because, well, you got me what Fat Tony and Homer were wearing. I got you Thad Parkour's entire wardrobe, including his shirts with the chili peppers and the glasses and the shell necklace. And I got you the meatball mover, but the meatball is not included, so thank you for the meth ball. And then, of course, because I didn't get you the meatball, you need something to eat. So I got you 10 buckets of fried chicken skin served on top of a smash burger the size of a Laserdisc.
Do we have to explain what a Laserdisc is?
Imagine a CD, but bigger.
Do we have to explain what a CD is?
Imagine an MP3 player, but for one song, or one album, and round.
Do we have to explain what round is?
Imagine square, but curvier.
All right. I enjoyed the gift, Steve. What made you laugh in this episode?
There was quite a few things. I really liked Wilhelm von Wondhelm. Of course, it's largely because of Maurice LaMarche's performance, but just him doing the sun swaps dance and his Germanisms are really fun. I think that Fat Tony, well, normally not one of my favorites. I think he did a great job. Even though it's not so funny, I think the Bart and Lisa stuff was great. And also I really loved the Guy Fieri, Adam Richman Food Network spoofing of like all the stuff. But if I had to give an MVJ, I think I'm going to give it to Wilhelm von Wondhelm. What are your thoughts, Craig?
Also, great name, Wilhelm von Wondhelm. It's very funny. Yeah, I know I like sincerity in my TV shows, and we bring it up a lot, but my favorite scene is still the end with Bart and Lisa crying, like, or not the end, but in the first 4 minutes. Very sentimental. I do like how serious and sincere that scene was, but the ending with Homer and Marge saying, like, did you teach him how to hug? And Homer's like, I must have. Like, just taking credit for something he didn't do. So that's probably my favorite scene, but I did like the fun little animation of Homer explaining the food smell area was great. Marge, maybe, like, I like when Fat Tony comes over to kill Homer. Marge is there and compliment the widow. She just poo-poos the word widow. And of course the ska fighting scene, and of course the kids of Springfield listening to ska and dancing was probably my favorite scenes.
Oh yeah, that's really good too. Yeah.
So MVJ, maybe I'm gonna give it to Bart because he was being a little prankster, going with the bits, and him dancing at the end too. You know, helping the world blow up thanks to King Kodo. So
thank you for that.
Yeah, Bart, you get the MVJ for this week.
Great.
But give us a real review, Steve.
Talking about it with you just now, like, it reminded me of all the scenes that I didn't mention that I loved. It's funny because we both, I think, like food and like Food Network type stuff, and I'm a big fan of ska, and so it's kind of funny how like it kind of speaks to us as an episode, but also I think that it's just a really tightly written episode. Like the Bart and Lisa stuff, even though it's so short, it could have been like a full episode, and it was just really funny and emotional and very real because it's something that I think siblings always do to each other, and the fact that they're bond over it, it's really sweet. I like the flashback. And yeah, the ska jokes are really spot on. The soup is interesting, and I think it's such a fun concept to have like two chefs not really get credit for it, but like make a real recipe for this beloved stew. So I think it's really good. So if I had to give this episode a ranking, The Showman vs. Food had 183 episodes. So out of 183, I'm going to give this a 169.
That's nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm feeling not conflicted. Like, had I known this was Broti Gupta writing the episode, it surprises me. And the reason is because it feels like it's an older writer, someone who's been around a while. Like if this was like an Al Jean pitch or a story, like I feel like there's two stories, and we've talked about it a little bit. Like the Bart and Lisa story at the beginning, that's only 4 minutes, and then the rest of like the 17 minutes is this story. And it felt like when they parody stuff, and we've always made the joke of like, oh, they're going to parody something that was popular 2 years ago. But it's weird when they kind of parody something that happened like, I want to say almost 20 years ago. Like the whole Man vs. Food and Guy Fieri diners, drive-ins, and dives. I feel like I know they still produce like diners, and Guy is still a figure, but it just seemed like the joke of making like a Guy Fieri-esque or food challenge-y type of joke is kind of like, I don't know, I think we're done with it. And so like that's why I felt like an older writer who wrote this of like, oh, those shows are crazy. I just watched it, you know. It's like, yeah, they've been around for I think 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this is like when Diners or the Adam Richman or the Man vs. Food like came out, and this was 2 years after said premiere and the popularity of us talking about, because we were talking about Man vs. Food like when we were in our early 20s.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I want to do those food challenges because that sounds fun, you know, at that time. But now as an adult, and like when you get older, like, I don't want to do any of those challenges. That's just dumb. I don't want to be subjected to the toilet for hours at a time,
followed by endless heartburn.
Yeah, so I felt like that just seemed like something like an older Simpsons writer, right? But it's Broti, who's a very young writer.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I feel like her pitch was the Lisa and Bart thing. And then like someone else had this other pitch and like, Broti, we like your pitch, but can you incorporate that food challenge thing? And she's like, okay, fine. Because, you know, in a writer's room, they're credited, of course, with one person is credited, but it's still the writer's room.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Lego set, right? Like we're all around this Lego set, but then they're like, okay, well, here's the pieces. You figure it out, you know, put it together. It's a fine episode. but not one of my favorites from the season. So I'm going to have to maybe disagree. Not disagree, but just I feel less than you feel. So if I gave this a ranking, you brought up the TV show Man vs. Food. Well, I'm going to bring up the show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, which has currently, because it's still being produced, as of this record, 534 episodes.
Wow.
And I think it also contains the last televised appearance of the great Gene Hackman. He was on an episode.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so if I gave this episode a ranking of 534, I'm going to give it an episode 420, man.
Nice.
Like, our reviews mean nothing because it's always either a 69 or a 420. I hope people understand that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Like, no credibility. Okay, out of 534, I'm going to give this episode a Jurassic Park 3.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Steve.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points, I gotta say. I still like the episode, but it is interesting how both mafia and food eating is like such like forgotten about topics. So yeah, it's interesting.
I think it's just because it was ruined with that Bart and Lisa stuff. Like,
so good up front.
I wanted that to be the whole episode. So that's,
Yeah.
I think, really my problem. Separate these. Take them apart like they're a grilled cheese sandwich.
Gooey.
Pull that cheese out. That is, pull that cheese out and give me the cheese, which was the Bart and Lisa. And then the rest of the episode was just the slices of bread with minimal amount of cheese.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Steve, we do have a new episode next week, so no Wheel of Random. I think we're slugging along here. I think we're towards the end of season 36, aren't we?
I do believe next week is the penultimate episode of the season, the second to last.
Steve, do you know who penned that ultimate episode?
Who's that?
Jeff Westbrook. There we go. So that's a clue, Steve. So it's season 36, episode 21. What do you think the title of this episode is?
Well, of course, this week was entitled Stu Lies. So we're going to go with another action star classic, but I'm not going to stay with Arnold Schwarzenegger because it could be the same. So it's going to be a Sly Stallone classic, and it is entitled Stop or My Bart Will Shoot, in which... I
mean, you don't explain the plot, but
yeah,
like
okay.
it.
Yeah.
So in my mind...
you got it.
Bart receives his first erection, and he's just coming on everything, right?
Yeah, that's...
So stop showing Bart pornography or he'll shoot.
Right,
one.
much better than him being a school shooter, so yeah.
Okay. Did they have a parody of that title, like Stop or My Dog Will Bark? Isn't that an episode? Or
I think there is something like that, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Steve, of course, you're stupid and wrong. Mostly stupid.
Yeah.
And obviously wrong. It's actually called Full Heart, Empty Pool.
Those almost sound like dirty things, like full art sounds like fa-art, and empty pool sounds like empty poo. So I'm going to say that Bart is entering a half-pipe skating contest, but he needs a new skateboard, so he becomes a janitor to earn some money, but he has to work with groundskeeper Willie. And in the B plot, Homer has to get heart surgery, and only Dr. Nick is available, but he's also been handcuffed for a reality show.
Not your best work, Steve.
I don't disagree.
But maybe it's better than what I'm reading here. It says, Homer and Grandpa team up to create a new sport that rivals pickleball until Homer kicks Grandpa off the team.
Oh.
Very short and to the point.
Mm-hmm.
But we just had a Homer and Grandpa episode, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was a Grandpa and Abe episode, or Grandpa and Mo episode. Grandpa's getting a lot of screen time this week, or this month.
Yeah, they're pulling on, this season they're using a lot of the same tropes, like your Luigi's, your Fat Tonys, your Grandpa. It's interesting.
Yeah, we have a lot of sports stars appearing in this episode. So it makes me a little nervous because, when you're watching like SNL and you have like an athlete host, you're like, oh man. Mm-hmm. So we have like these great athletic people like Blake Griffin, Andrew Luck, Megan Rapone, Rick Steves,
mm-hmm.
and of course the greatest manly man athlete, Robert Smigel.
For me to poop on.
Is this the first time Robert Smigel has been on The Simpsons? I
do believe so, which is very weird.
Yeah. For those who don't know Robert Smigel, you'll know Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. That's who he plays. That's his voice. it's his character, writer for SNL, Conan O'Brien. Like, I'm surprised he never wrote on The Simpsons, but finally we're having him here.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to have him on the podcast, Steve? Probably not, because no one wants to do our podcast.
Right, of course not.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to that, mostly because of the Robert Smigel, so...
Mm-hmm. And Rick Steves is a fun, nerdy travel guide for you PBS viewers.
Steve, we've defunded PBS. It no longer exists.
All right, well then, forget it then. Screw you guys.
Yeah, screw all of you, except our listeners. Unscrew us.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that by talking to us on our social medias like Instagram and Threads and YouTube at 13simpsons, but the best way and easiest way for us is, of course, email us at 13simpsons@gmail.com.
Alrighty, and hey, if you'd be so kind, go to your favorite podcatching app, leave us 5 stars or the equivalent, but it doesn't need to be an actual review. Just tell us your beloved, sacred family recipe.
And check out our TeePublic site, tpublic.com/user/annoyedgruntboys for some Annoyed Gruntboy merch. All right, thanks again for listening, everybody. For this week, I've been Annoyed Gruntboy Craig.
And I've been Annoyed Gruntboy Steve.
And remember, it's so good, I never want to swallow.
I finally have a reason to live until October 10th.
Does that mean it's over? Because I'm not sure I want it to be. Whoa, I need Bart.
I love you too.
Hugging. Did you teach them that?
I guess I must have.